Australians are inspired to understand their democracy.
You listen to D.I.Wireless, an Aussie punk rock podcast. Check it out, mate.
Working 28 years for the company. Will I ever be secure financially? I don't know, gonna have to wait and see, but I don't wanna be.
Welcome everyone to episode 32 of D.I.Wireless. For the first time ever, we're actually having a guest come on the show for the second time. We've actually interviewed him before, almost 2 years to the day. And that was around the time he was first heading out to Australia on the Revival Tour. He's about to head back there, this time with his band The Sleeping Souls. It'll be his third time back in the country, and he's also got some very interesting solo shows that are going to go on when he heads over there, which we'll chat about. We're of course talking about Mr. Frank Turner. Frank, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Nice to be back again.
And on the worst days, when it feels like life weighs 10,000 tons, I sleep with my passport, one eye on the back door, so I can always run. I could get out, shower, and in half an hour I'd be gone. And come morning, I am disappeared, just an imprint on the bed sheets.
You've just been through what you'd consider a pretty monumental show. Tell us, what was it like playing the Winnipeg Folk Festival record store?
It was a fantastic afternoon. Winnipeg's a city I love very much, and the people who run the folk music store are great people.
Of course, that was my really, really lame attempt at humour. We're of course talking about Frank's just played Wembley Arena of all places. And it was a sellout show, around 12,000 people, I'm thinking, is what's been listed as was there. Can you take us back to exactly how did that idea of such a massive show start?
Well, basically the last UK headline tour I did, we played at Hammersmith Apollo, which is sort of about 6,000 people, I think it is, 6,000 people, something like that. And we sold it out, and sold it out like a few months up front. So, immediately your mind starts thinking ahead as to what you might do next time around that could be bigger. And the thing in London, basically after that, you're essentially looking at either Alexandra Palace or Wembley Arena, which are roughly the same size, but it's all in the kind of 9 to 12,000 kind of area. And you either do that or you do multiple nights at Hammersmith or something like that. And it wasn't an automatic decision on my part. I did spend some time mulling over whether or not it was a good idea to do that. Because, in large part because I think that the kind of sense of intimacy is quite important to the music that I make, and that it's not impossible to be intimate on that scale, but it's much more of a challenge. So we sort of ummed and ahed and back and forth about it for a while. I think in the end, the thing that swung it for me was just that, why not? And I may never again have an opportunity to book a show like that. And maybe this is the peak of my career and it's all downhill from here, and I'd hate to be an old man who tells people about that story about that time when I was big enough to play Wembley but I didn't, kind of thing. It'd be ridiculous. And so we booked it, and then we also, the other thing about the show that was really important to me is that having booked it then set about trying to think of as many different ways as making it not like a typical arena show as possible. So ticket price as low as possible. It was $20 for the show, and we had Billy Bragg played, Dan the Sax Scooby spit Beans on Toast, and merch. We did shirts for $5, hoods for $10. Just kind of made everything as kind of DIY as possible. And obviously it's not going to be a DIY show because you're in an arena, you know what I mean, and there are stewards, you don't have stewards at DIY shows, but I just thought we could do stuff to kind of counterbalance it, and hopefully it'd end up somewhere in the middle, and I think we were successful.
And not to demean exactly what went on and the size of it, because it is a massive show, but I actually had in my head Metallica playing in front of an open Wembley Arena. It's set up slightly different to that now.
That's the stadium next door is the one that people think of, which I did actually play with Green Day a couple of years ago. We opened up for Green Day, and there was 90,000 people at that show, which is more, obviously. But I think I'm the kind of, when I started doing what I do, the pinnacle of my ambition was to play the Astoria, which is 2,000 people. So I'm already kind of miles out of my kind of expected comfort zone anyway. But yeah, no, it was surreal. You know what? And it's funny. I don't really. Part of me kind of feels like it didn't even really happen, because it was so. I did the show, and then I just kind of, went to my hotel and then got up the next day and went to the airport, went to Canada, and then I was just back to what is for me normal, and it's so kind of completely removed from my normal life that it was just like...
Not even obviously you were able to party with friends and family afterwards, like that didn't even cement things as a great memory.
I had a fantastic party afterwards, don't get me wrong, like it went on for a couple of days, it was a good time, but like I had a party like that in New Year's as well, it's like, I don't know, it's kind of, it's just out of the ordinary for me, and that makes it kind of hard for me to sort of compute, and yeah, it's a weird one, and I hate saying all this because I don't want to sound like I'm down about it, because I had a fantastic time in it. Everything went off exactly as it possibly could have done. But in a way, I'd spent a long time thinking, what am I going to do immediately after Wembley? And part of it was go on holiday, but I actually decided that what I wanted to do was to get back to work as soon as possible. And then this tour over here in Canada came up, and I jumped on it, and I'm really glad I did. I think it was definitely the right move.
And there was a documentary going on the whole time as well. How did that sort of, obviously there's nothing come out of it just yet, but how was it sort of dealing with that in the build-up?
Oh yeah, that was fine. I mean, to be honest, it was my buddy Greg Nolan, who's a photographer who I've been working with for years. Like, he took the cover shot of Love Iron Song, and there's a lyric in one of my songs about official club photographers, which is a dig at him, and kind of always, he's a good friend. And he's been with us being me and my band and crew, and since sort of October last year, just kind of which was roughly when we announced the show, just kind of like doing the build up to it. So I mean, it's going to be a kind of fun tour film. It's going to be called The Road to Wembley, but interestingly, I think it's less about Wembley as opposed to about the whole kind of palaver leading up to it, And then the DVD is also then going to have the concert film on it as well. So people will be able to see what it was all building up to as well.
Well, we'll chat a little bit more about Wembley soon. Frank, we always invite our guests to play some songs on the show. Anything they like, anything they're listening to at the moment, anything buddies they'd like to plug, anything like that. So what's the first song you'd like to play on the show?
Well, I've got a few, but one that I wanted to pick, which is more in the realm of classics, and I'll pick it for two reasons. First of all, because they're a band I definitely aspire to be like in the music that I make musically, and just the kind of grandiosity of what they do I love. And secondly, because Levon Helm died the other day, so the band, I think that the soundtrack to The Last Waltz may be the greatest rock and roll record ever made, and the song The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down is one of my favourite songs of all time.
This is definitely going to be a first for D.I.Wireless. This is the band, and we're chatting with Frank Turner.
Virgil Kane is his name, and I served on the Danville train. To Stoneman's cavalry came, and they tore up the tracks again. In the winter of '65, we were hungry, just barely alive. By May 10th, Richmond had fell. It's a time she called to me, said, Virgil, quick, come and see, there goes the Robert E. Lee. Now I don't mind chopping wood, and I don't care if the money's not good. You take what you need and you leave the rest, but they should never have taken the very best. The night they go chasing down, when all the bells are ringing. The night they go chasing down, and all the people were singing. They went na 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 na. stable team, proud and brave. But a Yankee, a lady in his grave, and I swear by the blood below my feet, you can't raise the cane back up when he's in defeat. The night they go dancing down, when all the bells were ringing. The night they go dancing down, and all the people were singing. They went na 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 na. The night they go dancing down, the bells were ringing. The night they go dancing down, and all the people were singing.
That was the band on D.I.Wireless. We're chatting with Frank Turner, who, as we said, has just come off, is on a Canadian tour right now, about to head to Australia, and has just come off a monumental tour, monumental show, I should say, at Wembley Arena. Frank, I'm going to try and be as professional as possible right now, and I'm going to try and stir some more ideas of exactly what went on Wembley. So I've got a couple of quotes from a couple of the reviews. Right. So one of them was, when Frank Turner took the stage and shouted, "Hello Wembley," he couldn't keep the grin off his face. And who could hardly blame him for being just a little bit pleased with himself. Another one says, Billy Bragg, who's the main support, represented a turn of the tables. Once he was a boyhood hero for Turner, but on this night, Frank had surpassed his hero. And the last one is saying, it's with a sense of unity that Turner and his live backing band, the Sleeping Souls, managed to make a giant cavern of 12,000 people feel like an intimate gig.
Well, that last one makes me really happy because that was the main thing we were trying to do, you know. Because and I knew that it was doable because I've seen other people do it. I've seen Springsteen do it and people like that. So but the question is how, and it's not like there's manuals on this kind of thing. And the whole doing something like that was always going to be a risk because the risk is that everyone would have come down and gone, wow, this is totally lost everything that I kind of enjoyed about it before, and people really didn't seem to react like that, and so I guess we pulled it off. So. Yeah, sure. I had a big grin on my face when I came out on stage. I mean, you know, it was good. I think one of the overwhelming feelings I had about the whole thing was that, not that I'm for a minute trying to cast aspersions on anybody else, but I really felt like I kind of earned my place to be there. Do you know what I mean? And it was like, because I've done over 1,200 shows in the last 6 years, and it wasn't like there was just one moment when I woke up and somebody injected £1 million worth of marketing budget into what I do, or one magazine suddenly just put me on a front cover or anything like that. I've never really had anything like that, you know. It's just been a slog. And also, you know, there were people from all over the world at the show. Like, people travel from really far and wide, all over the UK, all over Europe. There were some Australians there were a lot of Americans there, Canadians, someone from Thailand apparently. There were a whole bunch of squaddies who came back on leave from Afghanistan, all this sort of thing. Wow. And it just sort of felt like a real kind of gathering of people. I said this on stage, and I meant it, which was that I think one of the reasons that it worked is that I feel like I've probably played a show. I think 95% of people at the Wembley show have probably seen me play a gig where they were less than 5 meters away from me. Do you know what I mean? And it's like it was just a gathering of all that kind of thing. And I'm not sure how many people were there for whom it was their first experience of me or whatever. So that was cool. The Billy Bragg thing. I mean, that's a lovely quote and everything. It's just one person's quote, but well, no, it's just my only dispute with it is that I really didn't really grow up listening to Billy Bragg particularly. I'm a fan. He's great, and he's a lovely guy, and we've hung out a whole bunch and everything. And he's an influence to a degree, but I mean, I discovered his music kind of after I started releasing solo records, and people told me I sounded like him. So, and you know, and to a degree, it's a fair cop. Yeah, fair enough. But I mean, I actually think I nick an awful lot more ideas of Springsteen than I do of Billy Bragg. So, you know, but yeah, you know, I mean, it's kind of it was fantastic that he agreed to do the show. I was really pleased that he did, and you know, and it was a real privilege to play on the same stage as him, full stop, and to play afterwards was fantastic. But I just kind of. It's not if I was going to play if I was going to have a boyhood hero support me and be on after them, it would have to be Adam Duritz from the Counting Crows. That would be insane.
Wow.
He is like number one on my list of people I haven't met who I want to meet, because he is, to my mind, the biggest influence on my songwriting by 100 miles.
No close encounters just yet?
No, well, I know some people who know him, and apparently he's very nice, but I haven't met him yet.
Just on that comment you made about how you really felt like you'd got there on your own and it was a thought that was going through your mind, and other people have said it in other quotes as well. I think some of the quotes are like, he's managed to do all this while just being just off the radar. Surely a show like this, you're still with the same indie label that you started out with at home, Extra Mile. Yeah. Surely with a performance like this, people who might be in a suit and tie might be taking a bit more notice of who's this guy who's just managed to sell out a 12,000 arena. Has those sort of approaches come across?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I mean, that's been going on, kind of bubbling away for a little while. There's been, the people who work for major labels aren't idiots. Like, they keep an eye on what's happening, and I've had offers here and there. I mean, as it happens, I've actually just signed with Extra Mile for another 3 records. So
that's fantastic, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, which I'm very happy to do. It was a good feeling. But
it's just like, I mean, lots of people say, it's the next step. It's it's natural progression for my music. A few more people to hear it. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I'm absolutely into that. I'm definitely not kind of anti-success, perhaps a better way of putting it to me is I'm not an elitist. I do think that there is this thing in the indie and the punk scenes, which is definitely where I come from, and there's a seam of it that runs through me as well that I slightly have to fight. But it's like, at the end of the day, I want to make music for everybody. I don't want you to have to be in a special club with a secret decoder ring to get into music that I make. Do you know what I mean? I want it to be everybody music. I want it to be folk music. That's what the word means. But I think that it's a question of how you reach that point. I'm certainly not anti-major labels per se. I've been involved with indie labels, not Extra Mile, but I've been involved with indie labels in the past who have absolutely fucked me. And I know people who work for major labels and people who are in bands on major labels who have a fantastic working relationship with their label. I don't see any mileage in the whole like major label bad, indie label good. That's bullshit, and
3 quick questions about Wembley just before we finish. You were listening to Black Flag just before you went on. Was that an ode to those times where, I know when touring's got tough, I've read you say before that you've always thought, what would Black Flag do now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Partly, but also, I just I wanted to listen to something that's going to fire me up. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to over-intellectualize it, and there's nothing quite like putting on Damaged and headphones full volume.
The tattoo mid-set, that was always planned?
Yes, that was planned. I was actually trying to get my tattooist, a guy called Matt Hunt, and I was originally trying to get him to do it on stage, but he said, fuck you, no way. He was like, he's the kind of person who gets nervous at doing karaoke. Do you know what I mean? So he said, no way. But so what we did is we had like screens at the show and cameras, so I went off after the main set and sat down at a table. We prepped it all, and camera came over, and I got my date done up there. Fantastic.
And the last one, did everyone really sit down during photosynthesize?
Yeah, they did. There's a thing about this, right? Basically, everyone sits down and then they jump up again at the...
Is that I've never come across that. I've been to a couple of your shows.
Well, okay, it started last summer at a German festival, and the German crowd, I didn't have anything to do with it, they all just started sitting down, and there's a sort of quiet breakdown bit where I sort of talk to the crowd, and it's right at the end of the set. And they all sat down, and I genuinely thought that they were protesting because they were not enjoying it, because it was a festival, so there was another band on like 15 minutes after us or whatever. They all started sitting down, and honestly for a couple of minutes just thought, oh man, this is going really badly. They've all sat down, they hate us that much, like we fucked this one up. And then I kind of got the impression they were enjoying it because they were all kind of smiling and clapping and stuff still, and they jumped up at the end, and it was remarkable. It was great. It looked and felt fantastic, and everyone enjoyed it, and all the rest of it. And the thing is, I don't think I've only ever once actually been like tried to orchestrate it from the stage myself. But because it's become a thing that now people do at my shows, certainly in the UK and in Germany, that people just start doing it spontaneously now. And I just knew they were going to do it at Wembley. And I didn't say anything about it, they just did it anyway. And it was, standing on stage and watching 10,000 people jump up at the same time was pretty insane. Actually, I think my bass player actually fluffed the come in, because it goes that back in.
And he was concentrating on the crowd.
He just kind of was going, Jesus Christ, and then kind of was like, oh, what note am I playing? But it was a fun way to end the show.
That's awesome. Let's play another song on the show. What's another track you'd like to play for us, mate?
This is a track. There's a guy called Jim Lockey. It's Jim Lockey and the Solemn Son. And if I can say this without being patronising, I'm kind of I kind of feel like he's like my protege right now. He got a deal with Extra Mile Records mainly because I kept ranting about his stuff, and he's now just put out his record. It's called England's Dead, and the first track is called Death. Sensing a theme here, I've known Jim for a long time, and it's one of those things where he's always made good music, but I sort of always suspected if he pushed himself a little harder he could make really excellent music, and he's done it, and the album is flawless from start to finish, and everyone should listen to it.
This is Jim Lockey on D.I.Wireless. We'll be back with Frank Turner shortly.
For my love, somewhere in the pasture, though my body will soon be turned to cold. Well, I guess if I'm the only one that's fighting, I'll still be left here when the city turns to cold. Me down, wake my body up, holy light will take me down with those with trembling bones. Sun will rise beneath me and open up your day. Relive my sins and forgive me my simplest mistakes. See, it's true, this heart has lost its beat, so I live on in yours instead. But I will never weigh it down with my regrets. For my love was somewhere in the pasture, though my body will soon be turned to cold. Well, I guess if I'm the only one that's fighting, I'll still be left here when this city turns to gold. Hold me down, wake my body up, holy light will take me down with those with trembling bones. This is how the old man comes to take me. This is how the old man takes a life. This is how the old man comes to break me. Slipping down the sidelines, the world is in your mind. See, the sun will rise beneath me and open up your day. Relive my sins and forgive me my simplest mistakes. See, it's true, this heart has lost its beat, so I live on in yours instead. But I will never weigh it down with my regrets. For my love, somewhere in the pasture, though my body still be turned to cold. Well, I guess if I'm the only one that's fighting, I'll still be left here when this city turns.
Welcome back to D.I.Wireless. That was Jim Lockey, a selection from Frank Turner, and we're still chatting to the man. And let's of course talk about Australia. You're heading there, as we said, with the Sleeping Souls. First time you bring the band out. But firstly, I have to ask about the plan to play some solo shows in some very interesting places where touring bands would not normally go. Now, how did these extra shows come out? We're talking, of course, about shows in Alice Springs at a festival. We're talking about Cairns at a pub, hotel, Townsville at Groovin' in the Moo, which is kind of a recognised festival, and Darwin in a place called, I think it's called the Railway Recreation and Sports Club.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited about it. Basically, so this is my third. I've been over to Australia twice, and both times we played like the same lineup of cities, and it's the metro areas, and that's fine. It's always a good time, and I've got a real kind of spot in my heart for touring Australia. I love it. It's a good time, and a guy called Chris Moses at Blue Murder, who books my shows out there, we were having a beer after the last time I was over, and I sort of said, you know what. I think the thing that came up was Canberra, because I know Canberra's the capital, right?
Yeah, it's where all the politicians are.
Right, but and it was like, you know, I've never played a show in Canberra, and presumably you can. And he said, well, I mean, you can, but people don't generally bother because generally people are only here for a limited time. The conversation sort of went on, and I was like, well, you know, where else can I go? Like, and he told me, I think I'm right in saying it was Bouncing Souls did a 52-date tour of Australia once.
I know of Strung Out and No Use for a Name did a massive one.
That's the one. It's Strung Out and No Use for a Name. He was telling me about that tour because he booked that tour, and he was just saying, you know, it was 52 shows, and I was like, amazing, let's do that. To which he said, yeah, but your people are never going to give me 52 days of your time just for Australia. So we laughed about it for a bit, but you know, when it came to booking the tour, I sort of said quite seriously, if there's any way. And you know, and I'm doing those shows solo because we just can't really make the maths work to take the band up for those gigs. But I was like, you know, I'd love to go to some further fun places, and it's the reason's doing it twofold. I mean, it's for my benefit because I like traveling the world. Do you know what I mean? I like going to places I haven't been to before, and apparently Darwin's a beautiful, incredible place, and I've never been to Alice Springs. But also, you know, if you make the effort to go to those places, in my experience, the shows are generally pretty great because people are just kind of grateful that you made the effort, you know, and that you made the distance.
What are your experiences like playing those random places that you haven't been on similar circuits, say in Europe or the States or anything like that? Is it people might not know who the hell Tim Barry is or who, you know, Minor Threat are, but they're willing to come out and just listen to you play? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I've done some far-flung stuff around the UK over the years, and Northern Scotland and Western Ireland, places like that, and then I mean, East Germany, nobody bothers touring East Germany. If you make the effort to go out there, people get really stoked about it. Baltic states, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, been out to Russia, China, Israel, various bits of America and Canada. Yeah, I mean, yeah, basically it's always fun. I mean, it's not that I'm trying to say that the two places that further flung parts of Australia are synonymous with this, but I did a tour in Israel a few years ago, and you know, I spent a lot of time kind of debating the politics of going there, and decided that it was the right thing to do. And I'm really, really happy I did, because it was incredible. It was a hugely kind of eye-opening trip in terms of like politics and history and all that kind of thing. But also, just Israel's a place where being a punk kid is really still. It's a fucking statement. Do you know what I mean? You've got to have balls to be a punk in Israel in a way that you might have had to in the 70s in the UK, but you really don't now. It's just,
sure.
You know, Green Day have a musical, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not particularly countercultural anymore. Whereas in Israel, you really, it was, those kids were wild, like, and intimidating. Not because they were having a go at me, but it was just like, fucking hell, you guys are hardcore. So I mean, and I guess, yeah, it's just there is an appreciation there, and like you say, it may not be there. It's not like you go out there and everybody knows all your songs or whatever, but people are up for a good time, you know. And there is if I had to pick one word to describe what I do for a living, I'm an entertainer, right? That's my job, and I think some bands get like sort of constantly hung up on this idea that you have to sort of play a show where everybody knows it and everyone goes apeshit from the word go, kind of thing. And actually, sometimes it's nice to just go up and have an attentive crowd who don't know any of your stuff, but they're willing to listen. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, to me, that kind of throws being an entertainer a much starker relief, because it's like, right, this is me. You're starting from the baseline. Let's try and make people here have a good time. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to it.
Let's play some more music. What do you got for us?
I think, you know, we were just talking about them, so let's play some Black Flag. I reckon. Let's play. I was like Black Coffee. That's always a Black Flag song that's got a special place in my heart. Drinking black coffee and staring at a wall. Let's hear that one.
Nice. Black Coffee by Black Flag on D.I.Wireless. We'll be back to wrap things up with Frank Turner shortly. That was Black Flag on D.I. Wireless. We're back to wrap things up with Frank Turner. The Sleeping Souls, they're coming out. As you said, you've hit those metropolitan areas before. Some people might sort of say, I've seen Frank Turner a couple of times. What would you say the gents in the Sleeping Souls bring that other people haven't seen when you've just got your guitar?
Well, it's a different feel. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's much more of kind of like a rock and roll show. Like when I play solo, it's great, it's good fun, but it's more kind of like conversational and folky. I generally ramble, make up the set as I go, all that kind of thing. When I play with the Souls, it's much more. I mean, what I'm aiming for is the classic transcendental rock and roll evening. Do you know what I mean? But it's a celebration. It's a party. It's louder. There'll be more dancing. It'll be a good time.
And that unfortunately brings to an end our chat with Frank Turner due to some technical difficulties. He was just about to go on to discuss the fact that he's obviously on tour with William Elliott Whitmore, who'll be new to Australian audiences. But what absolutely blew me away was exactly how knowledgeable and excited Frank was about getting to play with the Smith Street Band, who'll be doing those metropolitan dates as well. He was definitely familiar with their work and looking forward to playing with them. And also, I would describe him as giddy when he discussed getting the chance to play with someone who he considers a good friend, that being Jen Buxton, formerly of Like Alaska. Even going to the lengths of quoting some of her lyrics from her latest record as well. And I think his statement was something along the lines of, he thinks that pretty much everyone that's met Jen has fallen in love with her, just a little bit at least. So I think that's fantastic that a guy who's played something like 1,200 shows over the last 6 years is genuinely excited, not only about getting to play for people out in Australia, in particular in those regional areas we discussed, but is really genuinely excited about getting to share the stage with some great Australian artists as well. We asked Frank to select one of his songs to go out with, and he chose If Ever I Stray off his latest album, England Keep My Bones, which he described as a real barn burner when he gets to play it with the Sleeping Souls. Do yourself a favour if you're listening in. Please get out and see Frank if you get the chance on his tour, which is happening in May. Thanks very much to Frank for taking the time to chat to us, and of course, thanks very much to you for tuning in. Here's Frank Turner with If Ever I Stray. This has been episode 32 of D.I. Wireless.
Forgive me, someone, for I have sinned, and I know not where I should begin. And some days it feels like you just can't win, no matter what you do or say. Things didn't kill me, but I don't feel stronger. Life is short, but it feels much longer. When you've lost the fight, yeah, you've lost that hunger to pull yourself through the day. But if ever I stray from the path I follow, take me down to the English Channel, throw me in where the water is shallow, and then drag me out back to shore. 'Cause love is free and life is cheap, and as long as I've got me a place to sleep, some clothes on my back and some food to eat, then I can't ask for anything more. So come on everybody, sing a 1, 2, 3, 4. So we all have secrets that we hold inside, yeah, the worst little things that you never confide. And the worst one of all that you just can't hide is that you're never quite as strong as you sound. So I'm sorry baby for the times I've hurt you, sorry friends for the times I desert you. Most days it feels like I don't deserve you, and I wonder that you're all still around. So if ever I stray from the path I follow, take me down to the English Channel, throw me in where the water is shallow, and then drag me out back to shore. 'Cause love like a drunken fellow. Some days it's hard for me to follow, but if you've got my back, I'll go on. If you've got my back, I'll go on.